Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. You're watching Updates at Noon with me, Azlani Adani. The Health Ministry has detected 6 new COVID-19 clusters involving Sabah, Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, Melaka, Johor and Putrajaya. Its Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said the new clusters were among the 42 active clusters which recorded new COVID-19 cases yesterday. According to Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham, the Nabaha cluster involved Kota Belud, while the Numbak cluster involved Kota Kinabalu, both of which were detected in Sabah. Meanwhile, the Perigi cluster was identified in the Klang district in Selangor.
Ialah kluster seri terapi. Kluster baru ini melibatkan daerah Kepong di wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur dan daerah Alor Gajah di negeri Melaka. Kes indeks bagi kluster ini iaitu kes ke-36,180 telah dikenal pasti positif COVID-19 hasil saringan individu bergejala pada 3 November 2020 dan telah dimasukkan ke Hospital Sungai Buloh. Saringan kontak rapat telah mengesan sebanyak 11 lagi kes positif. Sehingga 9 November 2020, sejumlah 126 individu telah disaring, di mana 12 kes telah dikesan positif COVID-19 termasuk 1 kes baru pada hari ini. 8 individu dikesan negatif dan 106 individu masih menunggu keputusan.
The Health DG also reported that the Padang cluster was identified in Kota Tinggi, Johor following symptomatic screenings on 5th November. The Health Ministry also recorded a new cluster dubbed the Harmony cluster following a workplace screening on 7th November. In a related development, the Bah Perdana cluster was declared inactive as of yesterday. In other development, Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham said that the implementation of the Conditional Movement Control Order CMCO in all states in Peninsula except for Perlis, Kelantan and Pahang could be shortened to just 2 weeks if the public managed to curb the spread of COVID-19. He explained that the imposition of travel restrictions from one zone to another is the best method to contain the virus outbreak in the society. The Health DG stressed that infection could occur as long as there is physical movement from one location to another in the community.
We need to live with the virus. We need to adapt to this new environment to survive in terms of the practice and to prevent from the infection.
Members of the public who wish to apply for interstate travel permit are urged to do so only if there is an urgent need for it. Sedang Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Razali Abu Samah said since the re-implementation of the CMCO on 14th October, 17,584 interstate travel permit were applied by the people. However, he said 613 applications were rejected for various reasons.
Dalam kereta tu sampai 4 orang. Dalam kereta tu langsung tak pakai apa nama ni lebih muatan dan kebiasaannya lah. Biasanya kita bagi dua, bukan kita bagi, kerajaan memperuntukkan satu kereta dua penumpang, 2 orang. Kalau hailing ni satu pemandu, 2 penumpang. Tapi kadang-kadang rata-rata kita jumpa ramai dan tidak mematuhi SOP tersebut.
ACP Razali also added that during the same period, a total of 2,338 vehicles were instructed to return from their places of origins for various reasons. The National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, has come up with the standard operating procedures as preparation to manage possible floods. Senior Minister for Security Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the SOPs involve guidelines on evacuation of victims, managing victims at temporary relief centres (PPS) and post-flood operation.
Sebenarnya waktu banjir, kita terpaksa membuka pusat pembinaan sementara walaupun kawasan itu kawasan yang PKPB. Di kawasan merah sekalipun, kita tak boleh nak berpindah mencari kawasan hijau. Mesti berbuka di tempat itu juga.
Explaining further on the SOPs to manage flood incident, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said each flood relief centres, PPS, must be equipped with the MySejahtera QR code, and every officer as well as flood victim must use the application. The PPS must also be disinfected before receiving flood victims, and each victim evacuated to PPS must be screened and provided with face masks, which must be worn at all times. The Senior Minister added that adequate equipment including face masks, hand sanitizers, thermometers must also be provided, and all enclosed areas should be left open to allow ventilation and removal of contaminated particles. He also said that symptomatic flood victims will be referred to health clinics, and if tested negative, they will be isolated in a special area, and the isolation period is subject to instructions issued by the Health Ministry. In another development, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri reported that as of 5th November, the Immigration Department JIM has reported over 31,000 illegal immigrants back to their countries of origin. The Senior Minister said immigrants from Indonesia were the biggest group of individuals being deported, with more than 14,000.
Daripada jumlah itu, yang paling ramai adalah parti warga negara Indonesia, iaitu seramai 14,072 orang, diikuti oleh Bangladesh 4,551 orang, daripada Myanmar 2,898 orang, Thailand 2,200 orang, India 2,189, China 1,856 orang, Pakistan 1,230 orang, Vietnam 647 orang, Nepal 397 orang, Filipina 298 orang dan lain-lain, banyak 944.
Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also urged members of the public with information on intrusion by migrants and cross-border criminal activities to contact the National Task Force hotline at 011-6251-1223. The number of students taking science, technology, engineering and mathematics STEM has fallen short of the target. Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said based on the Science Outlook report for 2017, the annual tertiary education enrolment in STEM courses was 40% in 2016 from the targeted 60% of tertiary education places.
And that drop is quite worrying, because we wanted at least 60% of our tertiary education places to be STEM. Unfortunately, it's the other way around. Now, this is worrying for us because as much as we need social scientists like myself, we also need more people who are involved in STEM.
As such, Khairi said younger generation is encouraged to further their studies in the fields of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, STEM to meet the needs of 4th Industrial Revolution 4.0 in the country. The minister believed that the present enrollment trend of STEM students also has an implication on the available professional talents needed for the country's development. He also said that the ministry will work to increase working opportunities and starting salary for graduates to consider STEM as their career choice. Coming up next, Kelantan KPDN HDP disposes 1.55 million ringgit worth of fake goods. Welcome back to Updates at Noon. The government has channeled a total of 11.9 billion ringgit to 16.3 million recipients via one-off payments up till 23rd October. During the same period, the government has also approved a wage subsidy program that benefited more than 2.6 million workers and helped 332,000 employers to sustain their businesses.
Secara keseluruhannya, kerajaan akan kekal komited membantu rakyat, perniagaan dan juga ekonomi dalam mendepani cabaran-cabaran yang mendatang pasca COVID-19. Moga semua pihak dapat berganding bahu demi rakyat dan negara tercipta dengan laungan semangat Teguh Kita Menang Bersama.
Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul also said that Budget 2021 that was tabled last week focused on vulnerable groups, adding that 8.1 million of them will receive 6.5 billion ringgit under the Bantuan Prihatin Rakyat Financial Aid. Other than that, he said the government will create about 500,000 employment opportunities, reinforce public health service and implementing other measures to safeguard the welfare of the people. The Kelantan Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry, KPDN HDP, has disposed of various fake goods worth about 1.54 million ringgit. Its director, Adnan Abdul Rahman, said the goods were seized from 752 cases reported from 1st January this year.
Saya bagi pihak KPDN HDP Negeri Kelantan memberi amaranlah kepada mana-mana individu atau sindiket yang melibatkan penyelewengan serta penyeludupan barang-barang kawalan supaya menghentikan kegiatan kerana tindakan tegas akan diambil, termasuk kenderaan dilucut hak kerana terlibat dalam aktiviti tersebut.
Adnan added that the Kelantan KPDN HDP has conducted 5 operations to dispose fake goods this year. It involved various items of different brands such as handbags, shirts, pants, as well as food and beverages with fake halal logos. Members of the public who have yet to register for Bantuan Prihatin Nasional BPN 2.0 are urged to do so latest by 15th November. The Inland Revenue Board IRB informed that application can be made on BPN's web portal or manually to the nearest IRB office. Applicants can visit the BPN portal to download the requirements of applications and frequently ask questions related to the one-off financial aid. Applicants will also be able to ask questions related to the BPN via Hasil Care Line, Hasil Live Chat, or by sending an official feedback form at the portal. Successful applicants will receive the BPN payment on January 2021. Trump refuses to concede as Biden supporters celebrate victory. This and more in our foreign segment. Armenian protesters angry over the country's agreement to end fighting with Azerbaijan over the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region stormed the government headquarters in Yerevan. Several thousand protesters had gathered outside the government building and a few hundred entered, ransacking offices and breaking windows after Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan announced the deal with Azerbaijan and Russia. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan called the deal incredibly painful both for him and the people. It comes after 6 weeks of fighting between Azerbaijan and ethnic Armenians. The region is internationally recognized as Azerbaijani but has been run by ethnic Armenians since 1994. In that year, a truce was signed after fighting but not a peace deal. A number of ceasefire agreements have been broken since. Fighting broke out again in September, but all of them have failed. Under the new deal, Azerbaijan will hold on to areas of Nagorno-Karabakh that it has taken during the conflict. Armenia has also agreed to withdraw from several other adjacent areas over the next few weeks. From coast to coast, Americans jubilant over Joe Biden's presidential win on Saturday rushed into the streets, dancing, hooting, honking horns and singing on a day many had longed for after 4 turbulent years under President Donald Trump. In spontaneous outbursts after news broke of the Democrats' win following nearly 4 nail-biting days of vote counting, they gathered outside the White House singing goodbye to Trump, celebrated outside Trump Tower in the president's native and very democratic New York, and danced in the streets across the country in Los Angeles. Trump was away golfing in neighboring Virginia when the news broke, and Biden supporters lined the streets of Washington as he returned to the White House. Trump, ever defiant, has not conceded defeat. The Republicans spent the morning tweeting inflammatory and unsubstantiated claims about voter fraud, but that did nothing to dampen enthusiasm in the US Capitol, where drivers honked horns, residents banged pots and pans, and people out in parks and hiking trails cheered and hooted. Many people turned out with their loved ones, friends, and even pets. Like Washington itself, the crowd was ethnically diverse and included people of all ages. Meanwhile, White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany says the Democrats are welcoming fraud and illegal votes in the U.S. presidential election, though she provides no evidence, while RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel claims the media are favouring Biden despite irregularities.
This election is not over. Far from it. We have only begun the process of obtaining an accurate, honest vote count. We are fighting for the rights of all Americans who want to have faith and confidence not only in this election, but in the many elections to come.
Biden has received 49.5% of the vote compared to 49% for Donald Trump, a narrow margin of 16,985 votes with 98% of ballots counted. Brazil's health regulators said Monday it had suspended clinical trials of Chinese-developed COVID-19 vaccine after an adverse incident involving a volunteer recipient, a blow for one of the most advanced vaccine candidates. The setback for CoronaVac, developed by Chinese pharmaceutical firm Sinovac Biotech, came on the same day US pharmaceutical giant Pfizer said its own vaccine candidate had shown 90% effectiveness, sending global markets soaring and raising hopes of an end to the pandemic. The Brazilian regulators Anvisa said in a statement it had ruled to interrupt the clinical trial of the CoronaVac vaccine after a serious adverse incident on 29 October. It said it could not give details on what happened because of privacy regulations, but that such incidents included death, potentially fatal side effects, serious disability, hospitalization, birth defects, and other clinically significant events. However, the Public Health Center coordinating the trials of the vaccine in Brazil, the Butantan Institute, said it was surprised by the decision. The institute is investigating in detail what happened and is at the Brazilian regulatory agency's disposal to provide any clarification necessary on any adverse incident the clinical trials may have presented. India's environmental court on Monday ordered a ban on firecrackers during the country's biggest annual festival in cities battling hazardly poor air quality, citing a link between pollution and the COVID-19 surge. The National Green Tribunal said the role of pollution in the COVID-19 crisis meant the ban was needed ahead of Diwali celebrations on Saturday. Traditionally, millions of firecrackers are set off during Diwali, but the practice has been blamed for worsening air pollution, especially in northern India, which suffers from serious smog every winter. The tribunal, whose powers are similar to a regular court, said that pollution caused by fireworks was an aggravating risk to lives and health. It said a general ban in all cities with rising air pollution should last until 30th November. India has the second highest number of COVID-19 infections in the world, and experts have raised concerns about air pollution worsening the symptoms of respiratory illnesses such as COVID-19. The capital, New Delhi, and states of Rajasthan, Haryana, Maharashtra and West Bengal have already halted or restricted the sale and use of firecrackers. State authorities in the rest of the country are considering allowing 1-hour windows on Saturday for setting off firecrackers. As the iconic Rubik's Cube celebrates 40 years, American Max Park and Australian Felix Zemdex went head-to-head at the Red Bull Rubik's Cube World Cup final. Taking place entirely online for the first time ever, more than 2,000 entrants were whittled down to 14 of the fastest solvers. The two-time 2019 champion Max Park won the mixed speed cubing event following a lightning-quick final solve of 5.9 seconds with current world record holder Zemdex at 6.04 seconds. The competition's fastest solve came in the semi-finals with Germany's Sebastian Weyer recording 5.516 seconds to the amazement of fans watching worldwide. Sebastian's brother Philip won the fastest hand title, beating Canada's Bill Wang 2-1 after Russia's Andrei Che recorded an incredible 8.5 seconds solve in the semi-finals. The Red Bull Rubik's Cube World Cup is the only speed cubing tournament to offer a women's-only event with the objective of encouraging more women to take up the sport. France's Juliette Sebastien, who also came second in the mixed fastest hand event, secured a comfortable victory with a 6.922 second solve over favourite Dana Yi of the USA. Coming up in sports, a National Security Council postpones the Malaysia Cup tournament due to CMCO. The National Security Council has decided to postpone the Malaysia Cup tournament in line with the implementation of the Conditional Movement Control Order (CMCO) in all states in the peninsula except for Perlis, Pahang and Kelantan. Senior Minister for Security Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the decision was made following the advice of the Health Ministry.
Oleh kerana ianya agak berbahaya, lagipun setiap negeri telah pun ada PKPB kecuali Pahang, Kelantan dan Perlis saja, sedangkan negeri lain sudah pun ada PKPB dan kita tak benarkan ada pertandingan. Maka mesyuarat membuat keputusan bahawa untuk pertandingan Piala Malaysia kita bersetuju untuk ditangguhkan kepada satu tarikh yang lain yang akan kita umumkan nanti.
Argentine football great Diego Maradona is progressing well after brain surgery on a blood clot and could be discharged this week. His doctor said the Argentine legend is in the mood to leave and they are evaluating the discharge that could be today or probably Wednesday. Maradona, 60, underwent surgery last Tuesday to remove a clot lodged between his brain and skull. Maradona, who went into isolation 2 weeks ago after one of his bodyguards displayed COVID-19 symptoms, had looked unwell during a brief appearance on October 30th at his 60th birthday celebration at the stadium of Gimnasia y Esgrima, the Argentine Primera Division team he coaches. He seemed to have difficulty walking and did not hang around to watch his side's match. The following Monday, he was taken to hospital in La Plata, where the club is based, suffering from symptoms of anemia and dehydration. Tests revealed the blood clot, after which Maradona was transferred to a specialist clinic in the capital. Since the surgery, he progressed well, although Luque had revealed on Thursday that Maradona was receiving intensive treatment and sedatives for withdrawal symptoms. South African billionaire Patrice Motsepe will contest the Confederation of African Football presidency election next March. Motsepe owns Pretoria-based Mamelodi Sundowns, who have been among the top 10 clubs in Africa for some years and completed a South African treble last season. Motsepe's decision raises to 3 the number of candidates for the top job in African football, with incumbent Ahmad from Madagascar and Jacques Anouma from the Ivory Coast also in the race. Ahmad said last month that he would seek a second 4-year term after ending the 29-year reign of Cameroonian Issa Hayatou with a stunning 34 votes to 20 triumph 3 years ago. Anouma, who was prevented from bidding for the CAF presidency in 2013 when Hayatou inspired the move led to a rule change that barred the Ivorian, announced his candidacy at the weekend. Motsepe did not attend a media conference in Johannesburg where the announcement was made, as he is in quarantine having contracted COVID-19. SAFA President Danny Jordan made the announcement with South African Sports Minister Nathi Mathewa also attending. Reigning Brazilian and South American champions Flamengo said Monday they had sacked coach Dominic Torrent after the long-time assistant to Pep Guardiola capped a lukewarm start with 2 humiliating defeats in a row. Flamengo announced on Twitter that Dominic Torrent and his coaching staff are no longer managing the club's first team. Torrent, 58, was hired in July to replace Jorge Jesus, who led Flamengo to 5 titles in just over a year, including the 2019 Copa Libertadores, before stepping down to coach Benfica in his native Portugal. After a rocky start, Torrent managed to navigate Flamengo to 3rd place in the Brazilian First Division, 1 point shy of leaders Internacional, and into the round of 16 in the Libertadores. But fans have criticized the Spaniard's less aggressive style, and he has racked up a series of stinging defeats: 5-0 against Ecuador's Independiente del Valle in the Libertadores group phase, 4-1 against Sao Paulo earlier this month, and 4-0 against Atletico Mineiro on Sunday. He also presided over an outbreak of COVID-19 on the team, with 19 players and 17 staff, including himself, testing positive in September. Flamengo's under-20 coach Mauricio Sousa will take over from Torrent on an interim basis. Lyon midfielder Houssem Aouar is ruled out of France's upcoming internationals after sustaining an injury over the weekend. France coach Didier Deschamps confirmed at a press conference that Lyon midfielder Houssem Aouar has been ruled out of France's upcoming internationals after sustaining an injury in the win over Saint-Étienne.
Là maintenant, c'est que après avoir examiné Houssem Aouar et la blessure qu'il a eue hier, on va le laisser à disposition de Lyon. Donc il est forfait. Je ne vais pas le remplacer.
Aouar was initially called up last week as a replacement for Nabil Fekir, but instead joins the World Cup winner on the sidelines after hurting his thigh during Lyon's 2-1 derby victory on Sunday. France play Finland in a friendly at the Stade de France on Wednesday before 2 Nations League matches, away to Portugal on November 14th and home game against Sweden 3 days later. Aouar made his international debut in the 7-1 home friendly win over Ukraine in October, but did not take part in the 2 following Nations League matches against Portugal and Croatia. That concludes today's edition of Updates at Noon. In our top story, 6 new COVID-19 clusters identified nationwide. Tune in to News at 10 on Saluran Berita RTM on MyFreeViews channel 123. You can also stream the news by surfing RTM's MyClick. Thank you. I'm Azlan Yadani. Have a pleasant day. Goodbye for now.